I've
Yeah,
told the
yeah.
story before, probably on Econ Talk, but my Russian friend, when I ask him how's it going, he says, "Fine, like all Americans," because that's our answer. First of all, fine is
Yeah,
our
yeah.
answer, which means I heard your question. Let's have a conversation. It doesn't mean I'm fine. Usually, it just means it's part of the banter of daily life. How are you? I'm fine. Um, but Russians don't say fine because they're different. And every
Yeah.
culture has their own differences. So, when people say that Scandinavians are happier than whoever's, I don't even, I think that's a meaningless statement. Do you want to defend it? And by the way, that
Um,
statement, Scandinavians are happier than other people, comes out of survey data where people are
yeah,
asked the
yeah,
subjective questions, either a question or a set of
yeah.
questions.
I think the data out there are suggestive. It seems like, and in general, even cross nationally. So you look at the World Happiness Reports over since 2012 that they come out annually. Um, they do a remarkably plausible job of the thing is people doing better on the measure tend to be doing better on all sorts of other things you would expect. And at this point, this is the main way you tell whether these measures are good is do they track the things you'd expect? One thing I like about the happiness, emotional well-being type measures, and I disagree with my economist friends somewhat on this, is they don't track the political economic variables like money and quality of governance as well as life satisfaction, but they do track things like relationships, having autonomy on a daily basis, having friends you can count on, and being able to do what you do best. The sorts of things you might intuitively think are pretty important for how happy a person is. They track those things pretty strongly, whereas life satisfaction tends to track material conditions more strongly. I actually think that's a reason to take both kind of measures seriously. Um, Cross-culturally, between any two countries, yeah, I take the Scandinavian thing with a big grain of salt because I think the evidence is strong enough, like robust enough, that there's probably something to it. If only, and what my friends who, in psychology have done a lot of the studies say is it looks like mostly what it is there's less misery, perhaps. Now there is, interesting the data about high depression or suicide rates, which is another question. But to me, I'm in this interesting position where on the one hand, I think the data are good enough that we should be looking at the science and we should be using it to help us move beyond just counting money in policy and other material variables. At the same time, I get really worried when people get overconfident in the measures because there's a lot we still don't know, like the idea of just assessing all policies by life satisfaction, cost effectiveness analysis on life satisfaction. No one measure is that powerful. And between cultures, and the Russian example you gave, that's one of my favorite examples. Well, not that exact one that you used, but yeah, Russians have a very different culture and way of thinking about emotions